July 2015, the first interplanetary probe to ever pass by the planet Pluto returned images of the most distant planet in our solar system. Those photographs showed a world of features that included methane ice-capped mountains, washboarded terrain, and nitrogen ice plains. New Horizons lifted off on January 19, 2006. In less than a day, it passed Earth's moon on its 9-year, 3.1 billion-mile trip to Pluto. Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto at the Lowell Observatory in Arizona in 1930. Lowell's director, Vesto Slifer, hired the poor Kansas farm boy with no college education after looking at drawings of such objects as Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars that Tombaugh had sketched peering through a homemade telescope. The search process was tedious. Tombaugh took nightly photographs of small areas of the sky on 8 by 10 glass plates, and a few days later reshot the same area. Those two images were placed on a blink comparator. They were blinked back and forth, and if an object moved against the stars, that was the planetary target. Sounds easy, but each plate had 50,000 to 400,000 stars. On February 18, 1930, following 7,000 hours of photographing and comparing, Tombaugh found a flickering image in the Gemini constellation. 8 months after the New Horizons mission launched, and 9 years following Tombaugh's death, the International Astronomical Union downgraded Pluto to a dwarf planet. That decision garnered quite a bit of criticism. There was cheering worldwide, however, when New Horizons passed Pluto on July 14, 2015, snapping pictures at only 7,800 miles above the planet's surface. Photographs before then of the planet had never been that revealing. New Horizons also transmitted images of Charon, the largest of Pluto's 5 moons. So, what did New Horizons reveal? First, Pluto has what's been described as a beating heart. NASA says this heart regulates Pluto's climate as well as the atmosphere, much like Greenland and Antarctica help control Earth's climate. In this heart-shaped area known as Tombaugh Regio, sunlight causes nitrogen ice to sublimate to vapor and, at night, recondense and refreeze. One result is nitrogen winds, which leave streaks along Sputnik Planitia. This image shows Pluto's heart image, which is, ironically, also an outline of Disney's cartoon character, Pluto. The planet is not named after the character, quite the opposite in fact, but named for the mythical god of the underworld. Sputnik Planitia's polygonal shapes are described as, quote, evidence of Pluto's internal heat trying to escape from underneath the glacier and forming bubbles of upwelling and downwelling nitrogen ice, unquote. NASA says. Scientists believe this area was created 4 billion years in the past when a large object crashed into Pluto's surface. Glaciers have been active for billions of years on Pluto, according to NASA. Made up mostly of nitrogen with a small number of them water ice, their movements scrape out valleys. The largest of them is some 620 miles long. Pluto also has dunes formed by winds blowing material believed to be methane ice grains. In the past, Pluto has been volcanically active and may still be. However, this isn't the volcanoes of Earth origin of which we're so familiar. Ejecta on Pluto is cold, with a slushy consistency and called cryolava. There may be a water ocean deep below Pluto's surface. The impact of a large object 4 billion years ago in this area likely led to a subsurface ocean rising up. Subsequently, nitrogen ice covered the ocean. Pluto, along with its moon Charon, has craters. On Pluto, they're found in this area known as Burney Basin. The name comes from Venetia Burney, who was a young English schoolgirl in 1930. She suggested the name Pluto for the mythical god of the underworld. Oddly, New Horizons revealed that the majority of the craters on both bodies are large, with very few small ones noted. NASA has concluded fewer objects from the Kuiper Belt than has been believed crashed into Pluto. Those that did had to be large. Computer software helped to enhance the images. NASA then compiled them into a video that simulates the flyover. Charon also shows evidence of volcanic activity in its past. The Moon has mountains named Ozterra and plains known as Vulcan Planitia, estimated to be about the size of California. There likely was a deep ocean here as well. You descend into Serenity Chasma Canyon, over the Dorothy Gale Crater, and the polar region known as Mordor Macula. After turning south, you see Ozterra, the Vulcan Planum Equatorial Plain, and the Clark Montes Mountains. After the mission to Pluto was completed, New Horizons continued on trajectory toward the Kuiper Belt. This is the last image the spacecraft captured of Pluto, showing the sun highlighting the planet's atmosphere. A bit of trivia: Pluto takes 248 years to orbit the sun. Since the planet's discovery, Pluto hasn't even made half an orbit. Eventually, the New Horizons spacecraft will leave our solar system. However, New Horizons won't be all alone out in deep space. There is a passenger on board. A small amount of Clyde Tombaugh's ashes are there. The man who dedicated his life to studying what's out in space finally had the opportunity to travel off of planet Earth himself.